Jake. This is Weekly Wrap episode number 15, and we're your host for today. Of course, we've got some great topics once again. There's been so much that's happened in such a short period of time. So topics for today, I'll be covering eating while away. This is something that tends to hinder anyone's abilities to sort of travel and relax a little bit more. So flexible dieting definitely allows us to do many things, provided that we've got a supermarket or any sort of shopping centre nearby, which makes it easy. And my second topic is zero options mentality. So I'll be covering and expanding that a little bit more, because my upskilling, especially over sort of the last 6 months, is definitely on a psychological level and mindset, which at the end of the day, if that's not ready at hand to be ready for what's ahead in your health and fitness journey, forget about it. So Jake, I know Jake's got another great couple of topics to go over. So what are yours, mate?
So why are you in pink today, actually?
Pink?
Yeah.
Well, I believe it's to do with your topics.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over ladies and their cycles. So as trainers, training women, we have a fair few clients that are ladies, obviously.
Yeah.
So we need to understand their cycle and different phases of the cycle, so that we can understand what's going on and why certain times of the month are harder than others. And then the other topic, looking after women again, we're going to be talking about the myth of touching weights and putting on a lot of size.
Yep.
And why that's just not the case.
And we hear that over, I don't want to get too bulky.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
So a couple of great topics there. First of all, let's go over, and it's not last 7 days, it's been a little bit since we've caught up. So let's cover your food and exercise at present. What's been happening?
Last sort of 3 weeks, I think it's been. Food, it's probably been sort of 80-90%. It's been pretty good. The only thing I've done is burritos once, and then sushi over that period. So not too crazy.
Yep.
No big blowouts or anything.
Nice.
Had a couple homemade pizzas, all fits my macros and stuff. It's been really good, and then training's just been next level somehow. Again, we say this every time, but it's been unreal.
I think last time we did the weekly wrap was when we were deloading, and that wasn't
a deload.
That wasn't a de. There was nothing that felt like a deload about that. It was actually, I reckon, it was harder than the other times.
So deloading, what's that? Just
it's to rest the central nervous system, back off the weight and the volume a little bit more. Basically, give your body a chance to rest, but it's more active recovery. You're still exercising as such, but you can't go 110% all the time and not expect the body basically to fall apart. So a deload is basically an active recovery week to help rest and recover from the poundages that you've been putting it through on a continual basis, and especially the central nervous system as well.
Yeah.
So it definitely did help in some way, shape or form, but food and training, it's somewhat similar to Jake's as far as training going next level. Again, we say this every time, but this honestly has been a very big test on a mental level, knowing what you can put your body through, sticking to the numbers. We've implemented some new strategies in relation to recording our training programs, which has been great, and the numbers don't lie. So it's a very big battle mentally that we go through. I think the biggest one was just the other day here at HQ when we trained and we did rack deads and high rep leg presses and everything. I knew as soon as Jake walked in what was going through his head, but it was one of those days where it was an unspoken thing. We just both put all our energy into training. There was very little words that needed to be said through that, but that's the benefit Jake and I have got being training partners for so long now, is we just get it.
Yeah.
And there's those days where you've just got to put every ounce of energy into the job at hand and get it done regardless of what's going on up here. And I'm just very, very happy with the way that we've dealt with copping an absolute beating as far as training volume, repetitions. The funny thing is that, you know me, on the high rep leg press, which was probably around the 30 rep mark in my previous training block. Now, every exercise is either high reps or till failure. So talk about battling some demons or just grinding through and pushing through the things you don't particularly like doing.
Yeah.
And
50 rep sets, and it's just been nuts.
It has just been incredible to know that we can continually withstand an absolute flogging. And that's what I mean, like, we did train hard previously, we have trained hard previously, but this has just taken it, again, to a whole new level. But that's what we've got to continually do on a daily and weekly basis, is continually progress and put our body under more stress to give it a reason to change. So hence why, you know, we've been able to get some great progress over the last 18 months. And no doubt, I guarantee us looking back on this episode in another 3 to 6 weeks, we're going to say exactly the same thing. So food-wise, this has been really interesting, which again will expand on the couple of topics that I've chosen. But regardless whether I've been going out for 40th birthdays, weddings, just being social, is I'm the only one sitting there without a meal in front of me, which I'm driving and eating to get the meal in before the particular event, so I'm not starving. But Pepsi Max has definitely been the drink of choice there. As far as food and hitting macros, 99.9%. Again, I always say there's always room for improvement, whether it be a gram here and there. I'm being extremely critical, but honestly, everything that I do now is a reflection of as far as what package I'm going to bring to stage, and I'm going to make every day of every week of every month count, and that's my mentality as far as that.
So how many weeks left until your first show?
It's around 20 weeks now. It's gone, the first, I think it's been 7 weeks now as far as prep's concerned. It's gone very quickly. Learning a lot of things along the way, how my body's responding, which has been great too, because this is all information that we can pass on to you guys on being in a calorie surplus and focusing on growth and repairing the metabolism and balancing myself hormonally. And this is where Jake's path now, obviously being in a surplus and growing for so long, when it comes time for stage, I mean, your body's going to respond very, very well, having a long off season and giving the body a chance to rest and grow, and not being in a dieting phase, which a lot of people are for so long, years. Some people are calorie restricted and overtraining. So I think from this whole journey is what I'm going to learn and take away, so that we as a team in Walk the Talk can deliver better understanding of the body and the mind and everything else in between to you guys. So I think the journey, I'm enjoying the journey. I'm not one of those people who are ever going to sit back and complain. I mean, Jake's the only one that would ever hear anything if I did, but I smile and laugh now. I'm just like, here's another day. So all in all, double thumbs up. Very, very happy with the last few weeks, and I thank you for being there from those days there's been a couple of flat ones here and then, few and far between, but Jake's always been there to make sure I get my ass into gear, so thank you.
No worries. That's been awesome.
So yeah, let's get stuck into the meat and potatoes.
Yep. So I thought of going over my first topic. Well, actually both of them link up nicely together. Because I was asked again, do you train ladies? Can you deal with ladies? And I'm like, yeah, of course. But a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I got asked that, and I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, what's the difference? No difference. I'll just train them how I train myself. But it's just not the case. And it comes down to hormones. So the first thing is, usually get asked, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to put on too much muscle. And it's just not possible for a female, and that's because their hormones are obviously a lot different. So they can't produce the same amount of testosterone, so it's about 1/20th to the amount that males can, so it's just not possible. And even the girls that are got a bit of muscle on, takes them years and years of training with really, really good nutrition, so it's just not the case. So that's probably the first myth that gets busted pretty quickly.
I think 100%. It's weight training is the best way as far as a feminine look to get that sort of resting muscle tone but keep the shape. I mean, there's a difference between losing weight and losing body fat and maintaining shape and tone, and weight training is probably the number one thing and the best fat burner of all. But I think the misconception or why that sort of image is still portrayed as far as weight training is a lot of these women see the female bodybuilders and everything. You got to understand, these ladies, their lives are devoted to that look. Their training, their nutrition, as Jake said, their supplementation, everything is devoted to that look. Or some are going down, not every by any means. Some have used performance enhancing substances to get extra growth as such. So yeah, I couldn't agree more as far as what you've said with on a hormonal level, it's physically impossible.
Yeah, and that tone look too that you always get told about, I want to tone, I don't want to get too bulky. Well, that tone look is just putting on lean muscle and having a bit of shape to your muscle and losing some body fat too.
Yep.
Which brings out that look. So that's sort of my first topic covered.
Well, the other thing too, let's touch on a few of the girls that we are currently dealing with.
Yeah.
All of them are strong.
Yeah.
All of them do all the big lifts, deads, squats, presses, everything. I mean, you see a lot of these just, isolated. They all are strong. They all train weights on a consistent basis. They are getting stronger and stronger, and they look as feminine as you could possibly imagine. And they've got the shape and tone to back it up. Their nutrition, their training, everything is devoted to the look they're after. Hence why, obviously, the mentoring side of things in the structure and accountability wise, it's important to obviously be educated and know what you're doing that way. But these girls lift a lot more, even more than some of the guys.
Yeah.
And there is no way at all that I could ever say that they're losing their feminine look.
Yeah.
So that 100% backs that up in theory as well, or practical.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So what was the mentality you were talking about?
Mental tough, like zero options. Like this is something obviously that is being highlighted even further for me in relation to training, life, business, is that it's either do the work that is required or fail. That's it. So the problem with people is they're happy with, oh, that's good enough, or I'll skip today because I'm tired. The more that you are resilient and you battle and overcome these times where you're feeling flat, you're feeling tired, you've got all these voices in your head telling you everything otherwise than to get the job done, but you just grind through it. You put one foot in front of the other, you get the job done, and you do it continuously. And the thing too that you've also got to remember, and that I ingrain into people, is that these flat weeks and these weeks where you're telling yourself that you don't want to do that extra training session, you don't want to do your food prep and everything like that, they're going to happen more often, especially while dieting. And there's always going to be other curveballs that get thrown at you in the end of the day. It's learning to understand that the more that you grind through these times of toughness or these times of adversity, the more and more you do it. It doesn't matter what gets thrown at you in future. It doesn't matter what it is. You're just used to getting the job done.
Yeah. And
too many people, when things get tough, it all ends. It all stops. They find that everyone that we deal with, they start to understand, and this paints a very, very clear picture as far as why people don't get the long-term results they're after, because guess what? It is tough. It is hard. But the thing too is that you learn to integrate it within your lifestyle. You learn the habitual side of it. You just get it done. And the thing for me is that, that I'll settle for this, or that's good enough. It's not good enough. It's either get the job done and execute on a game plan, or fail. And for me, failure is just not an option. Same thing today. I had a little tweak in my adductor, and I could have sat there and sulked and whinged and carried on, but I just went, you know what, it is what it is. I've got to work around it, and I'm going to use my education to be able to not only recover from something like this, but not let it get me down. The mental side of things, it's teach the mind to train the body. You know, I'm reading a few books now on mental toughness and resilience and the difference between good to great to unstoppable, and the level of mentality that you need to back yourself and not have any element of doubt as far as what you're doing, and having a long-term macro game plan is so important. And the problem is that too many people fold when things get tough. And you need to learn at these times, and this is where people pack it in, and you see the same people doing the same thing over and over again, looking for the simple answer, the quick fix, or whatever it may be, 8 years down the track. It's either do what needs to be done now, or guess what? You're going to be having the same conversation in 8 years, just having a repetitive pattern. You've got to break that pattern. You've got to create habit, and you've got to make sure that when times are tough, you put one foot in front of the other and get the job done no matter what. Yeah, so as I was saying, there's no 8-week challenge, there's no quick fix, there's no magic pill, there's no abs in 8 days. It's every day of every week, of every month, of every year, and it's consistency, it's hard work, it's battling adversity, it's just everything above. And, you know, unfortunately people aren't willing to understand that it is hard work. It's a lifestyle change, and the most respectable thing that I believe is maintaining a great physique all year round and improving on that.
Yeah.
And that's where, unfortunately, as we've discussed on many occasions before, people have got this short-term little goal, and then blowouts occur, and it's just a repetitive pattern, and they find themselves doing it for years. So it all comes down to this first, and asking yourself, what do you really want out of the whole thing? You got anything to...
I just wanted to know what your thought process is like every day. Were you able to do this the last 10 years, or is it only recent that you've had this mental toughness? Or
It's definitely something that I've learned to grow and understand more over time, because I believe too, you know, your thought patterns, your doubts, all these things have a massive impact on your training regime, where your ability is in being able to go next level with when things get tough through sets in life, whatever it is. So
is it from the people you hang around with? Is it the videos you watch, or is it like a combo?
I think it's a combination of upskilling and having more understanding as far as how the brain works, and where certain thought leaders or the best. So I believe if you're going to have more understanding of that side, you have understanding of certain leaders within their realm and how they think and their psychology behind it, and you learn about it. And not only that, it has a massive impact as far as who you surround yourself with, and, you know, being pushed to another level again, because if you're watching them carry out something that you hope to or want to implement, and you see them doing it, you've got no choice.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to let the team down. So I think, to answer your question there, it's a combination of a lot of things. One, upskilling. Two, watching people that you admire or aspire to be.
Yeah.
And you'll find that a lot of those mental toughness thought patterns are ingrained in them, and that's something they stand by as well, and their circles, their close-knit circles as well.
Yeah, cool. Do you have something that motivates you continuously, like the same topic or motivation, or do you change it throughout time? So I know the other day when that hard session we were doing that, it was, I pushed through that thinking of the podcast I watched the night before of a guy doing a 100k marathon, and he hasn't probably trained to it. He got to 70k's and he's got shin splints and he's like bleeding out everywhere, and still just pushing through it. That's what got me through that, because it made it so easy. I'm like, we're doing 50 reps, that's it.
I think
it's burning like hell, but then it's done.
I think that's a really good question. I think of a couple of people who aren't with me today, and I pull on strength and energy from them, for one. And not only that, is that I just repeat a few sentences in my head as far as what a few of my people that I look up to as well that they've said. And I also think, well, you know, if I'm going to get any better, you got to just get the job done. It's either that or settle for convenience and be a part of mediocrity. Yeah. Be mediocre. I don't want average. I don't want. there's a multiple things that continually run through my head that tell me why I need to do what I need to do, and the only person I've got to point the finger at the end of the day when I get up there and I know I could have done more is me. That's it. I'm not going to point, the judges or, blah, blah. It's me. Yeah. So if I'm willing to suck that up and sit there and take that in, which I'm not, I'm going to jump up there and especially obviously training with the purpose and then goal. It's another level of mentality again. And I'm not willing to accept one, failure, and two, okay. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff running through my head when shit's getting tough. So,
yeah, that's awesome here, because you think gym, pushing out a hard session, energy, you think of the food that you put in you, but like it's really what you're thinking about and the energy you get from the thoughts that you're thinking about. Because I could be feeling 100%, but if my head's not right and I don't have fuel from my thoughts that I'm thinking about, it'll be the hardest session ever and I will be a lot weaker than the previous week. But I can go in there, sleep deprived, no like food prior.
Yep.
But if I'm thinking the right things, I can have the best session ever and my strength can just go next level.
So I couldn't agree with you more, and what does that confirm is that mental toughness is the absolute pinnacle of it all, because if you're not right here and everything else is perfect, you can't push yourself to any level of discomfort or being comfortable outside your comfort zone, full stop. Mm-hmm. And if your body's comfortable doing what it's doing day in, day out, why has it got to change?
Yeah.
So I think that further the mental side of things, and that's why we are so big on being able to research this side more, is because it just has such a massive impact on what there's good to great to unstoppable. There's the different levels of physiques. There's okay physique, but then there's the incredible as well. And you will never find, unless there's some sort of weird genetic freak, you'll never find someone that you look at and go, that their level of mentality is mediocre.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. You start to find these common traits of these types of people, these types of athletes, these types of business people, and there's no coincidence why.
Yep.
So
that's it. Yeah, it's really cool, because if something like really pisses you off, you can be pissed off about it, or it actually works. You can burn that energy off in the gym. It's really weird. You can burn them thoughts out by thinking about it to push you through sessions. A few days of doing that, and whatever it was, it's just gone.
Yeah. It's like there's another thing I was reading in Relentless as far as Michael Jordan, when a few of the guys, about getting in the zone. The zone is just this state of mind where it's a reflection. It's a reflexive sort of. It's just you don't think, you let instinct take over. And a lot of people in Michael Jordan's state, this is why he was so good, is that if people were taunting him or other athletes, he could react to that, or he could put it in to fuel him for what he's just about to unleash, and let his actions do the talking for his instinct and his trust in his ability. Yeah. So I mean, this is a topic that, again, we're going to be covering a lot more, but it is amazing when you start to look down that road. And not only that, is that it's the same thing too with our clients. You can either tell them the truth and not sugarcoat it if they are falling off the wagon or the ship steered slightly, and they're going to buckle and think that we're having a go at them, or they're like, you know what, guys, thanks for the honesty, and fuel that for really taking their body to another level again. And sometimes it's their ultimate kick up the backside they need.
It's like you, Leon, saying you're soft like 2.5 years ago. Has changed out of life.
Yeah, so when Leon, I go, man, oh bro, what do you? And I thought I was. He goes, man, you're soft. And that honestly, those two words changed my life. Yeah. It was a real, it was time then where I could sit back and really take a good hard look at myself and figure out what needed to change, and it had to change, and I did. I made it happen. So.
I'll thank my brother for calling me Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so another few years, and
then what's your little brother's? What's he get called these days?
I don't know. Clarence or no.
There you go. He's on the game train as well. So
yeah,
all good. All right, next topic, Jake. This one's a brilliant one.
Yeah, so this one is just touching on like ladies' cycles, and we need to understand that obviously because it affects their training, their moods, their appetite. So just from like experience, not my experience, from the ladies telling me about it. So and watching a trend as well, because I keep all data on their measurements, what time of month it is for them and stuff like that. And you see a trend through the first 2 weeks of their cycle, their mood is enhanced, they have great energy, they have better workouts, they're stronger. And then after that, it all starts dropping off, and then moods will go downhill, and appetite is a big one as well, being able to control, especially sweets and stuff.
Yeah, no chocolates in the cupboard.
Yeah, that's it. And it's so hard for us to understand. We just have to sort of go from experience and just listen, because we're really lucky to have the same hormone balance all year round. It doesn't shift. So we're really lucky in that way, because I don't get appetites for all your sweet stuff unless I'm dieting hardcore.
Yeah.
But ladies do, and we need to understand that it's a lot harder for them at certain like times of the month. And then in knowing that, we can try and design their programs or push them a little bit harder during the first couple of weeks of their cycle compared to the end.
Yeah.
And then be more understanding at the end of it. And I think that's big lesson for both of us.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely something we need to consider as well. So we can't just go and train them exactly how I train you.
You can't just go hard enough. Come on now.
Yeah.
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 The other thing too, which totally, complements what Jake has just said, is that there's a reason why we utilize data on a macro monthly level, because it gives a certain trend as far as where the body's going. If I went by day-to-day, and this is just a male is concerned, imagine obviously with what's happening on a hormonal level with females, but if I went on a day-to-day level and even just a week-to-week level with my measurements and everything, I'd be disheartened, because there's so many variables and fluctuation.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, and that's what we do a lot, is whether they're in a surplus or a dieting phase, is looking at that monthly trend, because the trend will always be the same as well.
Yeah.
So
comparing, say, this week's 2-week cycle with the following cycle first 2 weeks is much better than comparing the start of the cycle to the end, because they're going to be holding more fluid, be a lot more bloated.
Yeah.
Hormones will be out of whack. So you need to compare the same stages of cycles with the next stage.
Yeah.
But over time as well, we just look at the average and we look at the trend.
Yeah. The other thing too, like touching on that, the amount of people that I've got continually counsel as far as weight, the scales. Scales is one point of data that we use just to make sure that things are on the right track. It's not the be all and end all. It's the same with hips and waist, and is that there are so many variables as to why those scales fluctuate, being fluid intake, being how regular you are, being hormonal, being sleep, being stress. There is so many variables, so it's one point of data, but as I said, it's over a certain cycle period that you've got to understand where the trend is going. If the weights and the measurements and everything were going up every week consistently, well then we've got a problem if we're in a dieting phase. But don't ever be disheartened just because of a slight fluctuation in weight either. So we've had that time and time again, and in the end of the day, it's not a week, it's months, it's 6 months, it's a year. That's where you've got to look at the whole trend as well.
Yeah. No, that's it. So anything else you want to touch on? What you planning for the next week?
Oh, the one thing is eating while away.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest thing it was always a pain in the ass, and you would have been the same as well, as when you're prepping meals and you're having to take all your meals with you, and you end up taking like 3 bags of stuff, and most of it being food while you're going away. I'd recently obviously gone up to watch Leon in Townsville for his last bodybuilding comp while he's going to have an extended off season, which is great because all I managed to take with me was my little pill bags and my fish oils and my test boosters and my thermal core and everything that I'm using at the moment, and I just labelled it and chucked it in a few Ziploc bags, a heap of protein in a Ziploc bag. I took that. I did my research just to find out where an IGA or a Woolies was, and it just so happened to be reasonably close nearby. And I chose to make sure that we booked a self-contained apartment, and everything was easy there. All I took was all my clothes and everything that I needed, those few little Ziploc bags and everything like that. I went and bought at the supermarket some pre-cooked chicken, some coleslaw mix, some microwave rice, and just a little bit of hummus and everything like that. I was set. I didn't even have to use the stove once. The microwave got an absolute pounding, but it was nice and easy. This was in comp prep, mind you, so obviously I've got my attention to detail. I can't afford to have a few days laxy-daisy. It just doesn't happen through prep. So that was a big learning curve for me, because normally I'd pre-prep my food, take it, and I just went, you know what, I'm just going to find an alternative, because in the end of the day, I know my numbers I need to hit, I know the foods I need to get. So when you're away or when you're going on holidays, don't freak out as far as that, and think of it as a great learning opportunity to find new foods and new meal combos. I've had some great things from our clients that are actually teaching us some great new meal combos as well while they're away, or work commitments, or they forgot their food. And I'm definitely going to steal a few recipes once comp's over. That we got some great ones there. So don't let it hinder your ability to travel or go and do the things that you want to do. Again, flexible dieting and certain events allow you to be able to have that freedom and flexibility to live life the way you want it, but have understanding and the knowledge and apply it to whatever scenario you're faced with as well. Because too many people, oh no, I'm away for a few stuff it, they end up throwing in the towel and then having a couple of days off, and then they get back and they're in damage control because they've just got cut loose with alcohol and food, and you know they're 3 weeks behind again. And unfortunately the body tends to if we could get gains or get results as quick as we could lose it, it would be great, but it certainly isn't the case. So